In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the ordered and unordered list, and we'll just jump right in and see what that's all about. Let me just kind of review with you what we've got here. I've got a basic web page, kind of a basic structure started. Remember that we're going to name our default or our main page index.html. We're going to learn a little bit more about that later, but for now we'll sort of take it at face value. This particular line here, line 1, is important. We are telling the browser that is going to read our code that this is a HTML5 standard, that the browser needs to understand HTML5 and use that those standards and those characteristics to parse out this web page into that browser. Remember, we have an opening HTML and a closing HTML tag. Because those open and close and we have tags inside of the HTML, those tags are all indented. Remember, nesting opening and closing tags should be indented. And within those opening and closing tags, we have some other tags that open and close. Those are nested and therefore indented because they open and close within the head or within the body. Fantastic. This should just be a synopsis or a summary of what you've already done thus far. Let's see, in our H tags, remember that only data that is important to the browser is going to be in the head tags, and data that is going to be displayed or written out to our browser is inside the body tags. So at the moment I don't have anything literally being displayed onto my web page, but I have some information that's important for the browser inside my head tags. I have some comments here. Remember, comments are always good. You should probably have your name and date and so forth in here, but this is letting you know that I'm going to be using this page to demonstrate ordered and unordered lists. The meta tag showing us what the char set is. Remember, that's the secret decoder ring. This is the type of symbols and the way that this browser should be able to know how to decode zeros and ones into human readable, in our case, English language. And then we have a title, so we're going to put title here. I'm going to create a recipe for peanut butter, gotta spell peanut butter cookies on this page. Fantastic. Okay, so go ahead and save that. All right, so I'm sure I spelled recipe wrong, probably. Oh well, this isn't a spelling test. Recipe, anyway. Okay, so what we're going to do, P-I-E, that bothers me. I guess I had it right the first time. Okay. So let's create an ordered list and an unordered list, and I'm not really sure what I'm going to do there, but for starters I'm going to put a title. I'm going to put an H1 tag. Remember, an opening and closing tag. This title is what's going to be displayed at the top of my page. Remember that the H1, because I'm giving it H1 tag, that's telling the browser this is special code that is going to be highlighted, not highlighted, but bolded, and a little bit larger text than the rest of my page. That's what the H1 is indicating. So recipe for peanut butter cookie. There we go. I'm going to save it. And if I click on run and choose my browser of choice, I'm going to choose Firefox here. And there it is. It's being displayed. So recipe for peanut butter cookie, and the H1 is definitely showing up. All right. So that should be kind of a refresher from before, but now let's explore this idea of unordered lists. Oops, not quite what I was going for there. I was trying to spread this out. All right, so I'm going to close this out. I'm going to take you back to W3 Schools. This is something I've touched on before, that this is a fantastic reference tool, and it is. So let's first review what an unordered list is. I'm going to type lists, see if the W3 Schools can give me some kind of an indication of what it is I'm doing, or maybe some help. I don't expect you guys to remember all of these tags, but knowing where to look it up in order to get help is always a good thing. HTML list, this looks like a good place to be. And so here I can start to see how to use, well, sure enough, she's talking about an unordered list. Apparently that's a way to create lists with bullets. An unordered list is a way to create a list with numbers. And you can click on try it yourself. I'll let you explore with that to see how those things work. Here's examples of it further down. So here is what an unordered list would look like. Here's the tags I need to make that happen. So you can click on try it yourself and play with that, or use it in your own code. So besides having just a bullet, it looks like there's other things I might be able to use to create different types of symbols for my bullets. So again, a good place to explore. We'll explore what this style word means in a little bit, but for now you could take it at face value and realize that if you add this attribute style equals list-style-type : and replace, and you can see that down here, replace disk with circle or square, that you're probably going to see different bullet types. So I'd encourage you to play with that. Let's see, I'm going to scroll down a little bit more. There's the ordered list. So same idea, instead of UL for unordered list we saw above, OL for ordered list. And again, different ways that you can order your list. So I'll let you explore with all of that. It's good to practice and play with these different things. Notice the indenting. They're definitely indenting things the way we've talked about. Somewhere on here, I was going to scroll down. So here's the different types of lists that you can use. And I thought, all right, well, let's just try it and see what happens. So let's work with the ordered list first. Was that the one I wanted to start with? No, the unordered list. Okay, so unordered list is bullets. All right, so I'm going to try to make this screen bigger. And we're going to make an ordered list. And the ordered list is going to be for the ingredients. So I'm going to type in first, it said to use looks like a UL here. UL obviously stands for unordered list. Remember that you need to have an opening and closing tag. So I'm going to add an opening and closing tag. Well, Notepad++ did it for me. And so we're going to then indent, because we have opening and closing tags within an opening and closing tags, so in other words, children and parents. So it looks like I need to use the word LI. And in the LI, I'm going to put 1 cup of sugar and save that. So if I want another LI, another ingredient, this particular recipe has 3 ingredients: 1 cup peanut butter and LI. The L sticks on my keyboard, so sometimes it skips out. There we go. And the last ingredient is going to be 1 egg. Save that. I'm going to run it into my favorite browser there. And sure enough, it's making a list for me, and it's making the bullets for me, so I don't have to do that. So that's kind of slick. Incidentally, just so you know, instead of closing this out, if we were to, let's say, make a change, I know this doesn't make any sense, but it's just to demonstrate something, and I choose save, because I have this page already up, instead of going to run and Firefox again, I can just come here and refresh it, and it should then show my changes. So that's another way to do that, a little shortcut. Okay, get rid of my... So that is apparently ordered list, an unordered list. What was ordered list about? I can't remember. I'll come back in here to W3 Schools. I am going to remind you that if you don't remember or you can't find it with your search, that you can always do an HTML, go to HTML reference or references here. And in HTML references, you have all the tags that are available to you in HTML. So I can scroll down here and look for OL or ULs, or try to remember different tags that I might want to use. You'll start to see here, as you get more and more comfortable with this, not supported in HTML5. Not supported in HTML5. Remember, we've talked about that HTML5 is a relatively new standard, and along with that, tags, some tags are new and some tags are, so they wouldn't be supported in older versions of HTML. And so you want to make sure that you are using the tags that you feel appropriate. In other words, because I've used doctype HTML, I've indicated that I'm utilizing HTML5, so I don't want to use any of these tags that are not supported in HTML5, because that's in fact what I'm using. And so if I scroll down, let's see, we're doing an ordered list this time, so defines an order list. Oh, there it is. All right, so I can click on that, and I get more information about an ordered list. And so again, here is browser support. Again, unfortunately, not all the browsers are the same. They were all programmed by someone different companies. So sometimes some of the more creative tags that we encounter are not necessarily supported in all the browsers or all the versions of the browsers. So it's always good to check that whatever tag you're using is supported. This particular one has been around for a long time, so it's supported in all the browsers and all the versions. But just start to pay attention to this, and we'll see more of this as we go along. Remember, there's a difference between HTML4 and HTML5. And so there's tags that are not supported in HTML5, so we're not going to use compact. But apparently there are other options that are available to us. This one is only supported in HTML5. So again, I'm just drawing these things to your attention. So as you see these symbols, you'll understand what it is you're looking at. And then CSS is something we'll talk about here within the next couple of weeks. So we'll get to that eventually, or very soon actually. But anyway, here is code and here is some examples that you can try. In fact, if you just wanted to copy and paste that in, you could, but I'm going to not. So after the UL tag, I'm going to make an OL tag, which then stands for ordered list. Make sure I open and close it. And then it says all I need is to do is the LI again. So apparently UL and LI tags are very similar. The only difference is the beginning tag. This says OL and this one, UL and OL. So I could then put preheat oven to 350. And for the interest of time, I'm just going to copy and paste some LIs that I've already done. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to save it. I believe I still have it up here, and I should be able to just run it and see the changes. So you can see that this particular one is numbered, and if we add or subtract, it'll automatically update my my sequential list here. So I'd encourage you to play with the different options there. All right, now I want to bring some other things to your attention here that's not really clearly stated in W3 Schools. Maybe I can demonstrate it. Let's go to the validator. Validator is something we've talked about before, and this is a website that we can use to make sure that we've written our code correctly and syntactically everything is where it should be. So I'm going to go to this validate by direct input and copy and paste my code in. Copy and paste it in, and then do a check just to make sure that I have everything correct. And it's giving me this no errors, and so everything is good, and I can feel comfortable that I've done this correctly. But I want to do some things incorrectly just to demonstrate what you might encounter. It's important to remember when you do ULs and OLs and these ordered lists and types that you don't put any other tags in between the UL and the LIs. In other words, it might seem intuitive to put in an H1 here and say, here are the ingredients, for example. And to you and I, it sort of makes sense. But if we put this into the validator, I'm going to copy and paste that into the validator intentionally to show that you're going to get a big error. This is not okay. See, we've got an error, and it might be kind of confusing as to element H1 is not allowed as a child element of UL. So what it's saying is exactly that. Remember, these are all children of the UL tag because they are opening and closing within the opening and closing tags of the UL. And so when you have these lists, you cannot put any other opening and closing tags within the UL. So in other words, this all has to be LI. So this is legitimate. You can, however, if you wanted to, put tags within as children. For example, one cup, this doesn't really make sense, but I'm just using it for demonstration. So if you want to put some opening and closing tags as children of the LI, you can do that. So let's just verify that instead of taking my word for it. Let's put it into the validator, erase all of that, and see if we can do that. And we should be okay to slow internet connection. We should be okay to add that. That might look kind of funky, but nonetheless, you might want to do some things within your LIs. All right, so I've got a slow internet connection here. But anyway, you get the idea. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so that is valid. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. You can't have any other opening and closing tags as children of the UL, but you can have children of the LI if you want to somehow decorate your code to make your code do something different than just plain text. So there's that. So we have gone over ULs, we've gone over OLs, and ordered lists and unordered lists. We've seen how to validate our code or remember how to validate our code. And then we've also remembered that we can look these tags up so we don't have to memorize them here in W3 Schools. Now just kind of a refresher, there's no recipe that's very good unless you can actually see, oh, what I'm missing. Let's see, I guess I am missing something because, oh, there's my 1 cup. Okay, 1 cup, oh, that makes sense. Because with a H2, right after an H2 is an automatic line return, and that's why cup of sugar is down here. Well, that looks pretty dorky. So let's just get rid of that. Let's clean that up. It was just to give you an idea of what you can't do there. And now let's make that look a little bit more sense. Okay, we should always add a picture of our peanut butter cookie down to the bottom here. So I'm just gonna do a little extra here since you're paying attention on this video. This is the web page that I got this recipe from, and I want this image onto my page. So what I'm gonna do is right click on it, save image as, at this currently, my code, my index page is on my desktop. So it's important to, at this point in the game, to remember that your image needs to be in the same directory, in the same place that your file is in. And this looks like a lot of words, so I'm going to rename. I have to keep that JPEG on the end, but I'm just going to name it PB because, you know, that's easier to type for me. So I'm going to save this image with the .jpg extension, and I'm just going to name it PB. I'm going to put it on the desktop because that's where my index is currently saved. And so now I'd like to put in that image underneath my ordered list. Remember, I can't put it inside my ordered list. I have to put it outside of my ordered list. So let's move this back away. There we go. All right, so how do we do that? I don't remember how to put in images, so I think I will type in image, or let's just go to the reference. Let's go to HTML. Spread this out so we can see the references. Reference, and I'm going to HTML tag reference. I'm purposely spending some extra time on this W3 Schools because the more you get comfortable with it, the happier you're going to be to find things and get creative and get comfortable with the HTML tags that are available to you. There is an IMG defines an image, fantastic. So that's obviously what I want. So it looks like I need src is the attribute equals, in quotes, I need to have the name of the image that is in the same directory that my file is in. Alt, remember, and all of these things are described down below, but I'm just talking out loud. Alt is alternative text that would display if for some reason my image doesn't display. And here's a way that you can adjust the default height and width of that image. And so that's all good to know. It is supported in all the browsers. That's good to know. And let's see, we're not using a line and we're not using borders, so there's other things available, but I don't need all those extras. Again, I'm just trying to give you familiarity with the site. So I'm just going to copy and paste that in because I can, and then change the things that are relative. So I named this pb.jpg, and it's not a smiley face, but it is a picture of cookie. I feel like the Cookie Monster here. I'm gonna let it be whatever size it was originally. Save that, reload my page, and see if the image pops up. And there it is. Wow, that's pretty big. So yeah, whoa, that's really big. Well, whoa, that's lots more than I expected, but it still gives you the idea of how to put an image, or gives us practice on how to put an image into our page. So maybe I'm not going to adjust the width there, but maybe I can just make this not so wide. I'm going to say width equals, let's say 250. Let's try to run that through and see. Oh, that's better. All right. So there you go. We have successfully created a peanut butter and cookie 3-ingredient recipe. And now I think I'm going to go create this recipe because that looks really good. So hopefully this helps you create your unordered lists and your ordered lists.